I mean, I can get into my speed once you're done with your AP.
Okay, bet. So okay, first we're gonna have to go to the game Mario's Time Machine, right? And in Mario's Time Machine, Mario meets Aristotle. Aristotle then refers to the Republic. The Republic mentions the form of the good, which is the Platonic conceptuality to all Platonic concepts, or the origin of all Platonic concepts.
I gotcha.
Shut up, is.
Not
It's essentially like the perfect blueprint for the perfect blueprint. Aristotle then said that the book contained truth and wisdom, meaning that everything contained in the book would be true in the verse. Plato's existence demonstrates the potency of human imagination, right? And the Mushroom Kingdom is stated to be beyond human imagination, or high 1A. It is then stated that a universe contains the Mushroom Kingdom, and the universe is infinite in space, right? And now we need to move on to the Dream Depot, right? Because the Dream Depot contains
Wait,
an
before
infinite
you
number.
move on to the Dream Depot,
Oh
I'm going to
fuck!
ask you
All right.
2 questions. First of all, could you draw up the scans in relationship to the Platonic concepts existing in Mario? And the second one I'm going to ask you is a really important one. Why would the form of good be well, actually no, you didn't elaborate on it. What would be the differentiation and power between the form of good and then other Platonic concepts?
It would just I would say it would be an outer versal transcendence.
Why? Why would it be that big of a gap?
Here, because basically it's the Platonic conceptuality for Platonic concepts, right? Meaning that, right, it would just be a Platonic concept above, right? Because it's the Platonic concept that conceptualizes them.
That wouldn't necessarily mean that it's an outer
If
versal
you give me
gap.
60
Like,
seconds, you're gonna see a
so
day in my
basically,
life and what it
like the
really
form of
takes
good
to
is
make
like their
money
origin,
online
right?
without
Their
any
root.
skills, zero
But
Right,
investment,
the
or
origin of all Platonic
prior
concepts.
experience. Here
yeah,
it
but why
goes.
would the
7 a.m. my
origin of
alarm
Platonic
rings. Holy
concepts be
shit!
like
Did
an
I
outer
die? No, it's
versal
just because I have a mosquito net
gap
around my bed because
between
Bali is
like
way too
normal
late and I
Platonic
don't want
concepts? To
malaria.
say
Right in
that
my gratitude jar. Binge
like a
watched
higher
20
form
Robbins
of
until
time
I felt like I did
would
something productive.
automatically
Meditated
be.
for 20 minutes
It's
because
a
I'm woke
pretty
as
weird
fuck.
analogy,
Damn, why do I
but
have
basic
so
one.
many
Like
negative
a
thoughts?
higher
How come
form
I
of
feel
time,
stuck? When
would
can
be
I
like
finally become the
outer
best version of
versally
myself?
beyond
Ooh, got the
just
fix.
like
Breath
other
work.
versions of
Saw a
time
Wim Hof
when
video
they're all
once,
like
so I'm
already
basically an
Platonic
expert.
concepts.
Breathe
Like the form of
aggressively
good in
until all
itself
my
is just a
fears and
Platonic
anxieties are
concept, right?
gone, or at least
So
that's what the
they're
video
Platonic
said.
concepts in
Damn, I
themselves.
feel
Like,
hot. Now it's
what
time to take my
evidence
baby
would
girl
you
to the
have
beach.
to
Hops up.
substantiate that the differentiation between the form of good and then like every other Platonic concept would be a 1A gap?
Actually, okay, so the analogy like I want to put, right, because they're already Platonic concepts, right? So what I said before, right, and how like they stack, right? Because basically, like we can interpret Platonic concepts, right, and then the form of the good is what allows us to interpretate. Like it's the Platonic concept, like of the here. It's the Platonic conceptuality, like of all Platonic concepts. If that makes any sense, I can try and give like an analogy to what I mean.
Well, like what piece of like evidence from Plato himself, since he's the one who basically like created these like the theory of like the theory of forms, right? Originally, it's from Plato himself. He wrote the Republic. He wrote the Thetis. He wrote a few other books that go onto them. But like, do you have anything to substantiate within his work, right? Then it's defined as being like the Platonic concept in comparison to other Platonic concepts.
Mm. Hang on, let me look.
Because it just sounds like it's the root point, but it's still a Platonic concept in itself. So it'd just be like similar to the other Platonic concepts, which are defined in the Thetis as like being like aspatial and intemporal, right? But not anything that would be like defined as being high 1A. Speaking of that, if you don't mind me asking,
Yeah.
what would be your basically definition of high 1A? Because VSB has since changed their system, right? Their former system more so reflected off of some of the workings that was basically like copied from anime character fights No, I think that's the name of the website. Basically, it's like an old Russian wiki that they copied the terminology for outer versal from, and then that site was responsible for like defining what outer versal is. So,
All right.
like, Versus Battle has and that website have since changed their system. So, Hi1A can currently, give me a moment.
I'm sorry. I just lost my train of thought. You wanted me to drop the scans corresponding to what I just said.
I wanted two pieces of evidence, if you don't
Right.
mind. The first one is the mentions of it like existing within Mario, right? And how that would correspond to the verse. And the second is basically evidence within Plato's own work that the form of good is like considered a Platonic concept to just like
Yeah.
Platonic concepts in themselves. That it would justify a 1A differentiation between the two. Okay, so this would prove that the Republic exists within the verse, right?
Mario. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But do we have like? So, I guess I could use this as right. There's a manga. Actually, no. I'll use World of Darkness as an example. So, World of Darkness is this basic video. It's like a tabletop game, right, that goes over Platonic concepts and a lot of Plato's work, but it takes its own liberties, right, with Plato's work being within the verse. So, like, what's to say that? I mean, actually, what I'm going to ask you essentially, right, is that could you like provide scans of what like they define in the Republic within that book? Because just like because the Republic is referenced, right, and we're told that truth in it is like that's fine and dandy, right? But do we have evidence that essentially like the Republic within Mario perfectly reflects the Republic that obviously we know about in real life?
Well, you can make
'Cause-
the argument here that um by Aristotle saying that the book contains truth and wisdom, that it would that it would still that the Republic's values and like its teachings would still be true even in the Mario verse.
well, no, that's true to an extent, right? But that would be that would be Mario's version of Aristotle. He would just be saying that basically whatever was written in that version of the Republic, right, is true within the verse, which I'm not denying. What I'm asking you though is like, can you prove essentially that the workings of the Republic, the very book that he says is true, right? If that it's equatable to like the teachings and the writings that are within like our real world version of the Republic, that it matches, because it could just be their own like own take on it. Like for the example within World of Darkness, that they have like their own references to stuff like the Republic and the Thaddeus, and they go over it quite well. But there's like liberties taken within their right. Each verse is obviously, unless like they follow the book completely down to the letter when they're writing like inserting the principles of said book into their verse, right? There's probably usually going to be some liberties taken, and in that case, right, then if those liberties exist, right, then it would be hard to say that essentially like Platonic concepts would be treated as being universal within Mario.
Hmm. All right.
So basically, without trying to shotgun here, what I'm asking you for evidence, right, is essentially the biggest one right now is basically like proof that within Plato's own writing, right, that the form of good is like a Platonic concept to Platonic concepts, like the differentiation, right, to justify a high 1A placement. And then two, some evidence. It could be anything that minor that would somewhat support the Republic within Mario. Um, like the actual writing within the book matches or is like it would be like no, there would be like more of an assumption to make that liberties are being taken with the book within the actual game. The methods by which we seek our world, our universe, ourselves, are believed to have been created by the great thinkers of ancient Greece. Was Plato. He founded the first university known as the Academy. This school survived for taught his students through a dialogue of which he learned this so-called Socratic. So is this what you're using to like substantiate that basically like what I'm asking you that the Republic would be like would be comparable to the the teachings of the Republic would be comparable to our own world?
Yes.
All right, give me a moment. I want to see if this matches up with like what we actually know about Plato in real life. I haven't studied too much about him like when it comes to like actually when he's established his school. So let me see when, because that I guess that would work. If it matches up. He founded what is known to be first. Okay, so when did Plato found the Academy?
Well, I made it past his first point. You know, that's better than I expected.
Not yet.
Oh.
I still need the tonic concepts.
All right. Here.
So yeah, in real life, he did establish it in 387. So it does seem that at least, like when it comes to studying him, the writers of that game did do their homework. So I guess it would be fair to say that basically it would be like less of an assumption that basically the Republic in the verse like somewhat. I'm gonna find that saying that like it should reflect our own, but that still doesn't like solve our dilemma right now. That basically I would need evidence that the form of good is basically 1A in comparison to normal Platonic concepts.
Okay.
And what game did you say this was called again? Mario's Time Machine?
Yes. Hmm. No. Oh.
In the meantime, do you want me to go over speed?
Sure. I'm just looking for something in specific. I'm sorry, I have a
Okay, so
lisp.
Speed is pretty simple, at least for now. Basically, by virtue of being out of Bristol, right, and moving in a realm that's beyond the like the far side, right, which is beyond the near side, the far side already being out of Bristol would already equate to my character already having irrelevant speed. What's more important though is my character also scales to a character named Tamao, who scales pretty much above like most servants, and most servants can be argued to have irrelevant speed since they're able to like react to Saber, who in turn is able to react to this character named Kojiro. Kojiro is stated to basically be able to like slash beyond the concept of space and time, and his slashes and zone at like combat speed like scales to that. Saber scales to that. A bunch of servants, at least about 100 of them, would scale relative, if not above. There's like a basically like a linear chain, right, of a hierarchy in placing the servants. They're actually given like a tiering system, A, B, C, D. You get the gist, right? That they don't all scale to each other. And then Tamama would scale above all of them in speed as well, and BB would scale relative to that. So it wouldn't just be like baseline. I mean, it is still like within that, right? But it's just several layers into a relevant speed, at least 100 layers.
All right. I'm gonna disappear for like 2 seconds. I gotta close my door.
Oh man, he's phasing in and out. He needs to go get a sip of water.
Either I'm fat or I have a big room, or that because that was longer than 2 seconds. I gotta.
Mind me while I put push to talk to listen to an opening.
So, are you guys like looking for a scan or
No, he's
something?
looking for a
What's
scan
going on?
because otherwise he's stuck with baseline universal because he's arguing that the Mushroom Kingdom.
Oh,
He's arguing that the Mushroom Kingdom basically is high 1A, right? His establishment for that is beyond the form of good, but I'm asking him to prove that the differentiation between the form of good and regular Platonic concepts, the differentiation is 1A. That's what he's arguing. And when I'm asking for him for evidence, is evidence basically from Plato's own work, regardless of the book, right? That establishes that it's basically like the Platonic concept in comparison to Platonic concepts.
oh, Cho, this is easy. Oh my god.
Look, man, I'm nervous. All right, can you shut up?
I can't believe you didn't have like Plato's, like all the volumes of Plato's Republic just
I'm
handy,
joking.
you know?
Handy. Okay.
I mean,
I mean, they're only like 1,000 pages each, you know? You just gotta read them.
Dude, I had like 3
You're
days.
ugly.
I had 3 days. Shut up.
You gotta read them all.
is that from The Grudge? Oh, I
Is this
forgot.
the
I got to
Bible?
debate Tyler and for Bucky's tournament if it's still going.
I don't think it is. That's Billie Eilish, Sarah, if not Begrudge. Zara, if you don't read Plato's works like daily, I mean, you're a loser.
I mean, if you just want to like, because at this moment, right, I don't accept them being high 1A since I don't have like evidence to substantiate that. As I already established, right, it'd still be a Platonic concept, and they're defined as being a spatial and temporal, nothing beyond that.
Hmm.
In fact, if you want, I can get you the links of them being defined as just being a spatial into atom part.
Trying to find this, and I just clicked on it, and then I clicked out off of it on accident, and I can't find it again. Dude, this is actually fucking annoying. Hmm.
Hey,
Come
hold
on,
up. I'm
John,
gonna
believe
dip
in you.
10 seconds.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
He's
6,
back
Great,
already.
he's back.
7.
He's back on free.
Do you want me to also give a win con now, or do you want me to wait?
Bruh. Hang on, I'm trying to. Here.
I haven't touched Elder Scrolls Numeneko in forever. My apologies for the boredom.
Bro,
No
Cyrus
problem.
unintentionally violating me.
No, I'm saying that to Golden Fist.
No.
It hurts.
Sounds like a concession.
Alright, well, you know what? Fuck it at this point.
Session by admission? Okay.
I want to bring up an analogy, right? That Plato said, right? Here it is.
I smell concession.
Yo, it's the
I taste
analogy.
the concession.
Oh my God, Godspeed, you're a literal rat. Shut up.
Okay, establish the analogy, please.
It's in which like Plato says, it's like the sun allowing sight, but the sun not being sight itself.
How would that be an universal difference? That
Okay,
just-
so
I fail to see how that would be an universal
okay,
difference.
so it's kind of like this, right? Like Platonic concepts, right? Platonic concepts would be like our sight, right? we can see what without the sun, right? But there's just no light coming from the sun in order for us to see. And by the way, they had no lights back then, so honestly, this is what he meant, right? And then the sun allowing set would be the Platonic conceptuality, right? Allowing us to understand or conceptualize the Platonic concepts. This
That wouldn't support outer Bristle at all.
right, but
In
okay,
fact, that
so
would downgrade out. Okay, so because with this analogy, right, it could be taken multiple ways, but one way I could apply it, right, is that like we technically can't visualize the fourth dimension or the fifth dimension or the sixth and onward. It's physically impossible for us to visualize it, right? So if in this analogy that the sun is that the form of good would be unsightable, could just mean that it would be just a dimensionally beyond, which would be would not be at all the differentiation between high 1A. VSB used to have high 1A, or at least what we would use, right? The differentiation would be that outer Bristle would be beyond the concept of dimensionality or the concept of space and time, right? High outer Bristle would be then basically it would be an outer Bristle difference. It would be basically the differentiation between baseline outer Bristle and a 3D human stacked on top of the baseline outer Bristle. That's how you would get to just being regular high 1A, and then you'd basically add more layers beyond that, right? Concurrently, they have it established as basically being beyond in an infinitely layered baseline outer Bristle system. Actually, I can drop the current. I think I copied and pasted it. I can drop the current definition they have for their tiering system for high 1A. Yeah, there we go. Characters who can affect and destroy states or realms, which are completely transcended over an infinitely layered outer Bristle hierarchy, and an extension thereof. Therefore, as well, so you get the ideas, right? So either way, actually, this matches up quite well with the original one, because it would, basically, what they would mean is infinite layers into baseline outer, right? So beyond that, completely beyond that. So for the old one, right, you could be uncountable infinites into baseline outer Bristle, and you still never reach high 1A. It requires the gap between basically between the equivalent between a 3D being and an outer Bristle being. So no, that analogy wouldn't support it at all. In fact, it would just if I take it at the best value it can, right, it would just be one layer into baseline outer Bristle, nothing more.
all right, I'm gonna need a sip of water for that one.
Who's winning the debate?
Cyber's drop kicking me through two cars and a coffee table, but
If I grant the baseline, the one layer into baseline, I should mention that it's quite easy for me to upscale BB, which I'll do at this time if you're fine with that. Are you fine with me doing that?
go ahead.
Okay, so BB basically has Kama's ability, and what it does is passively creates an infinite amount of clones for her. She then gets an infinite amp of power for each clone, so it'd be an infinite amount of layers into baseline out.
Oh shoot! Oh, that's right. I have a bunch of other AP stuff to cover. All right. Can I cover the rest of my AP? Because I can just apply it just on a lower level.
Wait, what'd you say?
Sorry, I was putting back in my Invisalign. Can I just cover the rest of my AP? It completely slipped my mind. I have a lot of other stuff to cover.
Okay,
alright,
so
so
basically what we have established right now is that basically the you're conceding basically the form of good wouldn't be a high 1A
high
difference.
outer. Alright, sure.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get a little. Yeah. Alright, well, I wanted to say a universe contains the Mushroom Kingdom. Alright? Alright?
Okay.
And the universe is infinite in space, and I have the scan if you need it. Alright.
So,
Here, let me get that.
I mean, that would actually be kind of contradictory now. that you're so is this like define this universe for me? Is it like a normal universe that we would be like our own? Because like Plato has established, right, and it was added on by later like philosophers, right? That, like Platonic concepts would reside in like a high realm, like the like an ideal world, right? Not like our normal universe. So that would kind of contradict the statement that basically like that you use to like prove that the Mushroom Kingdom would be universal. It would essentially contradict it and establish that it'd be like Mushroom Kingdom would be relative to this universe, even if it's like an infinite universe, right? That'd be like what, high universal? That wouldn't even be universal plus.
Well, okay, so this universe here. So this universe, this universe would just be outerversal, right? Because it contains an outerversal realm, right? Meaning that it would have to, and it also to address your what you asked about, like, would this universe scale to ours? No, it would scale above our own universe.
But yet, like you have. So here's my problem with that, right?
Okay.
The problem with that is that within Mario's time machine, right? It's Aristotle. You said that's basically like going over the books, right? And
Mhm.
since I already agreed that it would be like, from what you define, right? It would be like basically how it's being worked in the game, right? Is that they're taking literally every single piece of like Plato's history to like support that the Republic would be equivalent, right? Which would also apply to Aristotle. The problem with that is, right, Plato and Aristotle within our world were obviously 3D beings. Plato himself, like, not even being, like, even mentioning, he's not comparable to, like, the Platonic concepts in themselves. So if, like, if the evidence being used to support, right, that the Republic would be perfectly as it is in our own verse, right, and it's basically within the same universe, like that same world is meant to reflect our own, right, in order to like prove the like the validity of the Republic within Mario, right?
Mm.
It would basically what I'm arguing is essentially would be less of an assumption that as such that the universe you're establishing the Mushroom Kingdom in would be more so like comparable to like an infinite sized universe rather than an outerversal realm. Um, and that basically then trying to apply that the Platonic, like the Mushroom Kingdom in itself, right, would scale to the Platonic concepts being mentioned would contradict its scaling, since it's like in an what would be basically an infinite 3D um, realm, or that being that infinite 3D universe, since like you haven't even established if it has its own space time.
Mm. All right. So okay. So for the point about it having like a non-established space time, I'm gonna drop this scan here, showing that they.
Okay, that would prove that it's a high 3A construct, that it's a basically high universal, right? An infinite size universe. For it to be within like low 2C to like 2A, right? It requires its own space time. Like you can have an endless realm, right? But it wouldn't necessarily have its own space time.
But okay. So
Basically, right, what I'm arguing is that the evidence you've provided would more so establish that due to like how the game tries to validate like the Republic working in the verse, right? It's using Aristotle as a base, right? And Plato is establishing them existing within the world that Mario's then present in, right? The same universe as the Mushroom Kingdom. So the problem with that, right? It was established that basically that more so that universe is like, especially with the scan that space is endless, right? Would support that it's basically an infinite sized universe, not an outerversal realm. And that goes against like what Platonic concepts would require, that they in themselves are beyond all dimensionality, right? And that they would reside in a higher ideal world that we humans can't even perceive. So basically, what you're if Mario scales to this, right? This feat would just be like, if it's destroying this, right, or just scaling to this, it would just be high 3A.
Well, it's applying to the Mushroom Kingdom, though, right? And if we've
Right.
established
What I'm establishing, right, is that
all right,
what you've given me so far for the cosmology would insinuate that the Mushroom Kingdom is an outerversal. It's would scale at most to the universe it's in, which you've shown is high 3A. Meaning my character can currently
Right.
one-shots an AP.
right. Oh my God, Typod, shut up.
You having fun, Joe?
Having fun getting dicked around. Yeah, I felt better, but you know, it's the high point of my life. Hmm.
So what do you want to do?
Okay, hang on. All right. Okay, so here. Okay.
You want to come back to this later? Do you want to leave this up to the judge? What do you want to do?
No. Hang on. I'm. Hmm.
Or do you want to continue your AP scaling?
I'm trying to think right now. Okay, so we've established, right?
What we've established, right, is that
Right.
in order for like the Republic to be validated within your verse, right, you posted that scan going over like Plato's life, and then
Right.
you've established that Aristotle's the one going over it.
All
My
right.
problem concurrently is, right, that the Mushroom Kingdom scaling to the Platonic concepts would be contradicted by two things. One, basically that's shown like that the beings within said universe, right, obviously don't scale to it, since it's going over like real life Plato and real life Aristotle, right, in order to prove its validity. The second one is that you posted a scan insinuating that it was in like a universe that is endless space, right, which would basically insinuate that they're still bound by the concept of space. It's still space. So everything like points towards consistently that at least the universe you're arguing or talking about regarding the Mushroom Kingdom being contained in, right, is comparable to basically an infinite size 3D realm, infinite 3A, if I recall. Yeah, it should, sorry, high 3A, so infinite size space. So That would just mean that you're scaling Mario to like high universal.
All right, so me and you have agreed. Okay, so me and you have agreed on the fact that the Mushroom Kingdom is one layer into Outerversal, correct?
What I'm saying is it's contradicted, right?
It's
I
contradicted
previously
by this.
agreed to that, but the evidence you provided now contradicts.
Hmm. Hmm.
Do you have any other AP scaling you want to go over? Anything else?
I mean,
An alternative?
here.
Because if you want, I could bump down to high 3A.
Well, hang on. All right. So, okay, actually, here, can I? So, what they mean by space? I think it's not the concept of space, right? It's just here. It's essentially saying right here. I probably should have posted this as well, right? It should have said that like this so-called like infinite space is filled with hopes and dreams, implying that there's just infinite hopes and dreams. And what they're saying is that they're substituting this in for space, right?
This would actually further prove my point. You basically established that they're talking, even if they say that's like filled with hopes and dreams, it's still referring to an infinite size space. So, would still mean they're bound by like this is bound by the concept of space. Would be within space. Like the concept of space would obviously um within include like infinite space being without like spaceless. It would also include like an infinite amount of uncountable spatial dimensions, right? So it would still be bound within the concept of space. Also, holding hopes and dreams doesn't mean anything for like 1A scaling. I don't say what I'm about to say because I want to be rude, but like, do not want this to remain on like basically like no one talking for a long time. So I'm just gonna ask Ray. Ray, how long would you like us to remain on this?
Dre's not in VC.
Figures.
Yeah, Cho, he's pretty much saying hurry up, slow ass slow. That's what he's pretty much saying.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that for the sake of everyone else. Oh, there. Okay.
Wait.
Ray, can I ask you the question? I was just saying, for
What?
the sake of this not remaining and okay, for the sake of this not remaining like basically an empty call with no one talking because Joe can't like is still looking for something, right? I was gonna ask you, how long do you want us to remain on this?
I mean, you guys can like if you want to come to an agreement to just get off this point, or if you want someone
fine
who
with
is
that.
here the
I've
entirety of the time to.
I'm fine with that. I've already told Cho that we could move on to an
Sorry.
alternative AP scaling, or if he wants to leave this to the judge.
You know, hang on, sorry. I had to get off my fucking PC.
I mean, honestly, if you guys really, really wanted to, then you could just then you could honestly just try to come to an agreement on what to put this as, or if you're having like a hard time, you can try to talk Cyber down to like an agreement on setting characters at equal stats or something. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me.
Nah, okay, hang on. Hang on.
Excuse me, I'm gonna read this burden of proof wiki. Gotta make sure Typod isn't being a rat again.
Yeah, Typod, don't be a rat.
So, Cho, what do you want to do?
Trial by combat.
Uh,
Otherwise, I'll just move on to a win con.
Fire.
Do you want me to move on to a win con?
no, hang on, I'm looking. Alright, can I make a request? Can I retract the fucking universe link?
Do you require it for your scaling?
I mean, no, not necessarily. I can use it, like, I can use different things.
We just want to equalize.
Hold up, give me a moment. Hmm.
All right, I did say earlier that I would have like at most an hour available today. So, problem is right at the moment, your AP scaling isn't sufficient. I hate to ask
Right.
this. Do you just want to go to conclusions?
I mean, yeah, who the fuck cares? Let's go to conclusions. Alright.
All right, I'll wrap this up quick. Scale my character to infinitely into baseline outer Berserl, at least 100 layers into irrelevant speed. My character one-shots an AP and speed. Go ahead. Joe? Joe?
Alright. My conclusion is that Mario's mustache very sexy, and he seduces Bibi and then kills her in her sleep. GG.
Okay, I'll take that as a victory then.
Alright, that's a GG.
What did you start leaving out as your conclusion?
Then I got ugly. This man memed out his conclusion.
When
No
in,
difference
when,
between it.
What did
when in
he
doubt,
say?
just meme the fuck out.
Is there a stop the recording?
Cho, how was that I am, bro? It was